Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be learning about lesson 2.1. It's a brand new unit and it's going to be a good experience to learn of the Aice International History book. So the first part we're going to be talking about is the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918. Lenin signed the treaty with Germany to end Russia's involvement in World War I, allowing Germany to focus on the Western Front. Russia lost significant territory and was way smaller, including their resources and population, weakening its economy and political stability. Next year, in 1919, what occurred was the Paris Peace Conference. It was led by the Council of Four: Wilson for the U.S., and then Clemenceau, Lloyd George, and Orlando. Though Italy, they had very little influence throughout. The main disagreements revolved around how harshly Germany should be punished due to their actions, with Wilson activating for leniency, while Clemenceau pushed for severe consequences. Wilson was very lenient because he was so far away from the war that in America, he basically didn't care as much because it didn't affect him. But Clemenceau for France were severely hurt, and they were almost dead. Next is the Treaty of Versailles. Germany faced territorial losses, military restrictions, and reparations, leading to economic and political instability. Then there was the War Guilt Clause, blamed Germany for the war, fostering resentment and future conflicts. Other treaties were Saint-Germain, Neuilly, Sevres, and Trianon. Austria, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Turkey all lost land, reshaping Europe's borders. Wilson's idea of self-determination led to new nations, but many ethnic groups found themselves under foreign rule, causing tension around the Europeans. Reparations and the War Guilt Clause. The Treaty of Versailles War Guilt Clause, Article 231, forced Germany to accept responsibility for the war, justifying the reparations. France especially demanded compensation due to the destruction of towns in its industrial region. There were debates on the reparations. Wilson opposed reparations, fearing resentment and future conflict. But Lloyd George supported reparations but wanted the minimums to allow Germany to, economically recover. Clemenceau pushed for high reparations to weaken them so that no threats could ever be done again and nothing like this can ever happen again. Then there was the economic impact and Keynes criticism. That was less important, but, it was there. International reactions. France wanted a harsher settlement and feared Germany remained strong enough to pose a future threat. Russia was excluded from the conference, increasing its isolation and frustration. Reactions of victorious and defeated powers. France wanted a harsher settlement and feared Germany remained strong enough to pose future threats. Russia was excluded from the peace conference, increasing its isolation and frustration. Italy felt betrayed as promised territorial gains, and they were not fully honored, so they never got any. German objections to the Treaty of Versailles. The War Guilt Clause, Article 231, caused resentment, as Germany had hoped for terms based on Wilson's 14 points that made them lenient. Harsh reparations and territorial losses fueled anger, with widespread calls for future vengeance. So this is how countries are affected. Yugoslavia formed with Serbia, Montenegro, and parts of the former Habsburg Empire with a mix of ethnic and religious groups. Political instability led to dictatorship in 1929 under King Alexander I. In Poland, they re-established in 1918 but faced internal instability due to a fragmented political system and ethnic diversity. It engaged in conflicts with Germany, Czechoslovakia, Lithuania, and Russia, including exponential efforts in Ukraine. Czechoslovakia was affected because it contained a significant German-speaking minority that felt discriminated against. It managed to maintain democracy and economic stability through alliances and strong industrial resources. Austria, this was bad for them because they lost key industrial regions, causing severe economic struggles and reliance on foreign loans. Desired union with Germany, but this was explicitly prohibited by the peace settlement they signed. Hungary was affected a little bit, but they experienced political chaos with the brief communist rule of Bela Kun and violent reprisals afterward. But one major thing that happened was that they lost significant territory and struggled economically, relying on foreign loans from countries like the U.S. Guys, this is an excellent start to Lesson 2. Unit 2.1 was very eventful, and we should be learning more about these kinds of things in 2.1. Have a good day.